Look, I got live background today. Look, a tree. Whee! All right, everybody. We are going to go over today, bing, bang, boom, what an ad actually means. So, when people, why people are kind of skeptical to click on ads, when you see an ad, kind of what it actually means, and we'll just show you kind of behind the scenes of an ad, why it's being ran, and why they want you to click on it. So this will be fun. Everybody knows, we'll start off with this. Everybody knows ads are literally made to be clicked on to get you to spend money, right? So if you're going to click on an ad, you should be thinking in your head, it's possible I'm going to spend some money. That's not a bad thing. That's just people don't like to spend money. And it's super curious about that because we make a ton of logical decisions in our lives. We make a lot of emotional, but we make a lot of logical decisions. Like, I wake up, I don't want to be naked, I put on shirt, right? Something like that. And so you make a lot of logical decisions. I brush my teeth so I don't have to go to dentist, right? Very logical until it comes to money, and then most people get heavily emotional, which almost makes no sense because money is a trade for a logical gain most of the time, but it's also trade for an emotional gain uh, pretty much all the time as well. People are very protective of money and they get very accepted. They think money is the actual problem when it's okay to spend money. But the point is, ads are there to make you spend money. You just don't want to feel duped, and totally understandable. So, but when you see an ad, Chris
Oh.
pops up. Chris is an ad. There we go. But when you see an ad, I mean, your first thought is they want to take my money. And honestly, that's okay. It's totally okay if you want the product, right? Am I wrong, Chris?
Oh, well, yeah, that's okay. I mean, all ads are asking you for money. Can't turn on the TV without an ad that wants your money. You see a ad,
That's
they're
100%
asking
true.
you to come to the dealer and spend your money and get a car. If you go to the dealer, your intention is probably to buy a car, right?
To Attention to buy a car. Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
Exactly.
it's not rocket science. Advertisements are selling something.
Or is it rocket science?
The question is that product going to solve your problem?
That's the real thing, right? So it's where you're going to give honestly, it's not when you're going to give your money, it's like where you're going to give your money, right? And so for us talking to business owners, everybody has expenses. You pay a couple employees, you pay for some marketings, maybe you buy a truck, right? Like you pay for something. You're paying already. You're paying for things already. And so if you're gonna click on an ad and buy whatever the ad says, of course, just expect that. Yeah, I do want this. Like if you're gonna click on it, just yeah, this could definitely help me, right?
Or you could
But
just be exploring, but obviously you clicked on it for a reason.
you
There's a
clicked on it for a
need.
reason.
There's a need that you have, or a problem that you need solved, and you go to explore. Will this solve my problem, or is it junk?
Exactly. Exactly. I'm trying to find this. I thought I had the ad that I wanted to. I was going to pull up this ad and kind of break it down and show you guys exactly. There we go. We can do this one. And I was going to show you guys exactly like how an ad works, and that sounds kind of silly, but it's really just a trusting factor at this point, right? To where let's show you what they actually mean when they tab. There we go. All right, we'll break down two. I think really this one is actually a really was it this one? Yeah, this one's perfect. Okay. So, Chris, if you saw this ad and you were scrolling, you got to be a roofer, right? If you're not a roofer, who cares? If you saw this ad and you were scrolling, what would you think? Just boom, what would you think?
Instantly, I'd be like, okay, 20 plus quotes appointment, guaranteed, or you don't pay. Okay, who's going to give me ads for free? And that's a big claim. They're going to get me 20 to 30 in a month. Uh, I I would click on it just to see what they're talking about.
Yeah.
I mean, who doesn't want 20 plus, appointments? I want to see what magic they have that they're doing it with, basically.
Yeah.
Um, it depends on what music was playing on behind it, maybe, or
If they got Drake or if they got Stevie Wonder, which one are
I
you
mean,
in with?
I mean, it's not exactly the most like attention grabbing to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I usually don't click on ads like this so much.
But why?
Um,
But why?
it's not really grabbing my attention.
It's not really grabbing your attention because it's not something you want. Like if you're a roofer, isn't this something you want, or are you just it just wouldn't bat an eye at it because it's not different?
It's it seems almost too good to be true, um, and I'm not really. I don't know. It's something that those are not quite the ads I kind of go for
Yeah.
personally.
Seems too good to be true. That's where it's at. Okay, so Chris is a perfect example of seems too good to be true. So, attention roofers, obviously, if you're a roofer, this will work for you. And if you're not a roofer, you're not going to scroll it down. Right? My next thing would be 20 to 30 quoted appointments per month. How big of a company am I? Can I even handle that? Do I need 20 to
Well,
30? Right? If I'm only setting five, then who cares? Right? So, obviously, this is for a certain size business already. Right? If I'm a two
right.
man sales team, is that a lot? It's about one a day, I guess. Um, one a day, right? So yeah, if I'm already doing something and I need more, right? I got to make sure I'm big enough to handle that. I'm the right sized company to handle that. However, 20 to 30 appointments is money, straight up, isn't it? Like you know your closing rate. You know you're going to close, let's just say 20% of them. So you know you're going to close, I don't know, roofers close more than that. You're going to close 10 deals out of this 20 to 30, right? And on a terrible, in my head, if I own the company, on if I send my worst closer, I'm going to close five, right? So then I think, okay, how many is five deals? How many is five roofing deals revenue, not net revenue?
Well, that's got to be a large amount. I mean, I can imagine a roofing job's got to be 30, 40 grand
Depends on the
easily.
roof, but we're 12-ish grand. It's probably up
Okay.
to 15 now, 15-ish grand. So give or take 4 grand either direction, but 15 grand a roof.
They
That's
make it out of
revenue.
popsicle sticks.
Yeah, like on Zootopia, he's reselling. It's redwood. Uh, but no, but he so you're talking 15 grand, so 15 times 5, right? 100 or 30, 60, 75. So we're talking $75,000 X this month. Okay? That's where my thought goes. If I see that, I'm like, dang, you can get me 20 appointments, you can make me $75,000 this month. And then I think, can you really? Like,
Well,
can you? Right?
there it comes.
I've been around, like, I really would. I've been around door knocking for a long time, man. When a sales rep walks in, like, I'm assuming a salesy person is putting this ad up in the first place. That's what you're doing. Once again, we talked about that. You're wanting me to spend money. You're a salesperson, right? So then I'm looking at this and I'm like, can you really make me $75,000, or what do you want me to buy so that I can make $75,000? Okay, that's my next question. But then my next thought is, and it should be this for kind of everybody: what am I doing now to make an extra $75,000? Right? How would I make an extra $75,000 if I don't do this? Where's that answer?
Well, exactly.
Exactly, right? And so
Well,
all of these things are running through my head. This is very logical, right? Chris missed my logical emotional. Everything Chris said was emotional. I'm running through some logical, right? Just different people. And so at that point, I'm like, okay, what am I? Should I click on it? Because this makes me curious. I'm doing nothing to make an additional 75,000 a month. Maybe this guy can help me make an additional 75,000 a month. So I click on him, give me my phone number. What do you expect when you click on it and give him the phone number, Chris?
uh, you should expect to get called. You should expect to get
Yeah, you should.
a text message, an email, and actually, you should expect to get more than one call if they're doing it right.
Yeah,
You'll
100%.
probably get called today a couple times. You'll get called tomorrow a couple times. Um, You might start seeing some different random numbers calling you throughout the day.
Yeah.
Um, and, it depends on how serious you are about fixing your business, whether you're going to answer or not.
Yeah. And when you do that, like you said, how serious are you about fixing your business? Are you going to pick up that phone call that those 10 phone calls you're going to get over the next day or two or three or four every day? Are you going to
Oh, for
answer
sure.
one of
If you're
those?
clicking, well, yeah, if you're clicking on this to increase your business, yeah, you're going to answer because you want to see, what this too good of an offer is talking about and what they're talking about,
Exactly.
and
Too good of an
and then
offer.
generally on that first call, a lot of times it's just someone just seeing if you're a good fit. They want to talk to you, see what you're doing, see what your roofing size is, and hey, like Brian said, can you handle if we got you 30 appointments this week? Are you able to handle that?
Yeah,
Are you able to go out there, do an assessment? Like that's a lot. If you're one man, two man, like that
it is
means
a
you're
lot.
driving all around town. But if you've got an actual roofing company, you've got roofers or you got contractors, that's something you should explore. And
Totally.
generally on that first call, you'll find out the information. The company will find out the information, and they'll try to set you up with an appointment to dig deeper and find out some more details, and then share basically their packages.
Try and get
And
you to
really,
take that money.
well, yeah, and if they do it right, they're gonna they're gonna really see not just what your need is and where you need help, but what the benefit of that
Yeah.
will be.
And that gets into that exactly. And that gets into like, look, can the company help you? And are you a good fit for the company?
Hmm.
It's a two-way street. Like you said, if you're too small of a company, if you're too large of a company, like if 75,000, if you can't even take on 75,000 extra dollars, like don't do it. Like it just makes sense, right? And so that's something that you should definitely qualify the company you're working with. But as far as the ad goes, when somebody sees this, and you click on it and you're like, okay, teach me more, right? What's that attitude? What, like literally, what's that attitude when you say, teach me more, right? How is that being presented? What's my
Well,
tone,
yeah,
Chris? What's my tone?
you are already blocking whatever it is. Like
Whatever it is.
you've come into it with a shield in front of you.
Yep.
Like okay, I'm going to deflect all this, and then what I would say 95% of the people do is what does it cost,
Yep.
and then you get into that, and I'm going to put this out there. When you're clicking on ads and you're looking to help your business, and I know everybody wants to save costs, cut costs, increase revenue, but you can't make money without spending money, and cheaper doesn't always mean better.
Cheaper does not always mean better. There's only two ways to put more money into your business. One, don't spend any, but you go run out. And two, make more. How do you make more? You go do
Invest
all
more.
the effort yourself, or you spend a little bit to trust somebody else.
Hmm.
Right? There's only like that's. I mean, it's as basic as it gets. There's no more to it. There's nothing more to it.
Yeah,
But
and a lot of times, people will make you an offer, and they'll say, okay, for all this, and we're going to do this, we'll get you this. It's going to be $6,000. And you're like, $6,000? That's crazy. Well, yeah, you're right. But you know what's even crazier? If you got one deal out of those 20 appointments, and your average roof is $12,000, well, now you've doubled your investment.
doesn't that just make
Like,
sense?
like that.
Like
So
that.
people come in with these crazy ideas. Oh, what's the ROI? What's the ROI? What's the ROI? Make one deal and you've doubled your investment.
That's right.
Period.
That's right. I don't
Game
mean to.
over.
That's just like the ROI thing's funny. I won't. I'll tell this real quick. We talked to a guy the other day, and he said he had what was it, Chris? Like plus 800 leads or something like
More,
that.
yeah,
Yeah,
or
more. It's
more.
crazy. I'll just say 1,000. It was so many. He's
They
like, I
have
have a
five
thousand.
campaigns with like
He
500
said I
and
have a
something
thousand
leads.
leads. How will this get me an ROI? And we said, what are you doing with those leads right now? And he was like, I call, I get to like 15 of them a day. I'm like, great.
They
So
spend
what's
two
your
weeks making a phone
what's
calls.
your ROI on that?
They spend 2 weeks making phone calls, trying to set
Ouch.
appointments, and then 2 weeks on appointments.
Ugh. So
Right?
if they do 2 weeks at a
How much?
like, what's your
How
ROI on
much are
that?
you making all those calls in those 2 weeks?
What's your
Zero.
ROI to not call them? Is zero. The answer is zero, but you actually spent money to get them, so you're actually negative. If your ROI, if you want to ROI, your ROI to not call them is negative, right? And so
Right.
if all we gotta do is get you one deal, wouldn't that be worth it? I
Yeah.
guess it would be. But let's go back down to the ad because I'm really curious on the upfront part of the ad. And are people telling the truth in the ad? Where the truth is in the ad? Where the hook is in the ad? Things like that. So I'm super. That's what we kind of want to get into. So right here, guaranteed or you don't pay. Believe it or not, 100%, Chris. Believe it or not, where are you at on that?
Mm, where am I on that?
Yep.
I understand how these things work,
Come on, Chris.
and
Guaranteed or not?
guarantee. Yeah,
I
they're
don't have to
guaranteed,
pay.
but
Seriously?
you're gonna pay up front. You are gonna pay up front. I don't know
Where's
many.
my guarantee? That's what
I
I'm
don't know
asking.
many people that work for free. That's for
Yeah.
sure.
Yep.
I don't know people that work for free, but like they said, if they're not going to get you those appointments right away, then I will expect them to do what they said. If I put money up front, that's a good guarantee. Okay, I'm not going to owe you next month until I get those appointments, and I got to be responsible to actually follow through with those appointments. I can't get 20 appointments or 20 people coming into my business and not contact them and then be like, "Hey, you guys didn't do your job."
Yep. Here's
Like,
my thought on that. If I'm a painter or any service business, but I'll just go with painter. If I'm a painter and I walk in and I say I'm going to paint this house, this room, whatever it is, it's going to cost you 8 grand, 6 grand. I'll say 6 grand. It's going to cost you 6 grand. I'll paint this house, inside of the house. And I go, cool. Go ahead and paint it. And when you're done, I'm going to make sure you did a really good job. And if I like the job, I'll pay you. Would the painter take the job?
no.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Because I could nitpick you so heavily that I could nitpick my way out of money. I could nitpick my way out of this, right? And we'd get into some ugly fight. Like if you escalate that to this greatest height, or the greatest height that it can go at, no money ever gets exchanged. You got two angry people, one unhappy customer that bought the house. I spent $1 million on the house and it sucks. Like, does it? But if you give that painter some money, is he going to do a good job? Is he going to get the job done? And if you have a problem where he says, hey, buddy, I'm not sure I like this specific area. Do you mind touching that up a bit or whatever you got to do to it? And he goes, yeah, sure. I trust. There's a mutual trust. Of course, I'll get it done for you. Doesn't that make way more sense?
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Doesn't that make way more sense? And so the guarantee is actually true, right? Those guarantees are true. You don't have to pay. Uh, and there's two ways that you don't pay, but the guarantees are real almost all the time. Like, I mean, trust the company you're going with, but these are real guarantees, right? Yes, you're going to have to throw down some money up front. It costs money. Software costs money. Campaigns cost money. Marketing costs money. Like, it just does. It flat out does. People's time costs money. But if you don't get the result, these companies that are out there, guaranteed or you don't pay, they literally will do it in. Should I give him the secret, Chris? Should I give him the magic secret sauce?
Why not?
Why
It's
not?
YouTube.
I love
It's
it.
YouTube
It's
University. Come
YouTube.
on.
That's right. There's two ways to guarantee that you don't pay. Way one is give you most of your money back, if not all of your money back, right? And that's a guarantee you don't pay. The other way to guarantee you don't pay that people do it is they guarantee the actual appointments themselves. So they'll have a term for the contract, 3-ish months, give or take a month or two, either direction. Um, Guaranteed. And then if they don't hit that mark, they will literally work for free at that point until you hit your mark, right? So if this up here says get 20 to 30 quotes, and I'm a guy and I say it says get 30 quotes or I don't pay, and they would say
Hmm.
great, give me X money down up front, right? It's probably a few thousand. Give me a few thousand down up front. And I would personally say to them, how long are you going to take to get those 30 quotes? And it says per month right there. Hold you to it. Perfect. I'll get you 30 quotes. within a 30-day time period. Awesome. Or I don't have to pay. Yeah, you don't have to pay. Okay, so we get to day 31, and I go, hey, I got 26 quotes. I don't have to pay. Most of the time, that company's going to say, perfect. I will get you 4 more quotes, and in all honesty, most of them are going to get you 10 more. Like, it doesn't even they're not going to get you the exact 30. They'll go higher. That's what we do. We go even higher, and so they'll say, hey, you only got 26. Great. Let me get you 10 more for free. I'll get you 10 more for free. No problem. You made your money plus a little bit. Right? There's my guarantee.
And
Def-
actually, according to this ad, if you made 26, they fulfilled their
that's
guarantee.
true. It says get 20 to 30. That's true. That's true.
26 is
It says
between
20
20 and
plus. It
30.
says 20 plus. That's funny.
So,
But
we did our job.
But how do you
What do you
feel about that, Chris? Like, in all honesty, think of it as a business owner. I'll ask you this. As a business owner, I gave you money, call it $3,000, $4,000. I gave you $4,000. You gave me 26 out of 30 quotes. Let's move it to 18. You gave me 18 quotes, right? Now 20 was $75,000. So minus, or sorry, 5 deals. 5 deals was $75,000. So maybe I didn't get one extra deal. I still made $60,000. I gave you $4,000. I collected $60,000. You're still 2 appointments short. Am I happy? Am I sad? Am I cordial? Where am I at?
I think you're not complaining because you have an extra $60,000 in your pocket.
I'm not going to complain. I got an extra 60 in my pocket.
Because those appointments weren't just appointments, they actually converted. You did a good job with your company. You have a quality company that tells you have a quality company. And I promise you get $60,000 in your bank account that you didn't have last month or the month before. You're not calling that company and say they didn't do their job. They're like, hey, bro, here's your payment.
Exactly.
I get what you were doing. Let's do this again. Let's rock again. Because
Let's
I
rock
want
again,
another
baby.
$60,000 in my for my business.
100% correct. 100%. So, how do you feel like right before you got on, I talked about logical decisions, how we make logical decisions all the time. What should I eat for dinner? Hungry, food in mouth, right? Wake up, I'm naked, put shirt on so I can go in public. Very logical decision, right? But in business, when we say that, like, this turns into a heavily emotional decision, which, in all honesty, it's a logical one. 4 or 5 grand up front, I'll call it five just for round numbers. 5 grand up front makes me 60. Ooh, makes me 60 grand. Why would I not do that?
Well, yeah.
You see what I mean?
If someone walked up the street to you and said, "Hey, if you have me $20 right now, and in an hour, I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna give you 200,"
200.
Would you do it?
Well, there's a trust factor. An hour's a long time.
Okay.
Of course
here's my watch.
I
Here's
like it.
my
I like it.
watch.
I like it. Yeah.
Here's my watch. You give me $20. Hold on to this. Don't leave. I'll be right back. I
Yep.
gave you my watch as a measure of trust.
Collateral. Yep. Yep.
I like my watch. Or here's my keys to my car. You trust me now? Okay.
Yeah. I'll stand right here.
I'll walk
And in
away, come back,
fact,
and here's your $200.
that's a mutual trust because I handed you my watch. I want my watch back. I want my car keys back. Right? That's a mutual trust. I'm going to bring you 200. I'm going to get my return back. And that's exactly what happens with customers and businesses. The same thing happens, right? But that's why you talked about it. That's why we get on this call. You're interviewing the company as much as the company's interviewing you. Okay, we have a mutual trust. Let's go for it. I'll give you 5 to make 60 or 75, right? Let's go for it. So, it's that
Oh
easy.
yeah, and that happens too. You read a customer that you have, and you're like, yeah, let's take them on board. Let's do that. And then halfway through it, you find out this customer has no business being in the business they're in, and they don't know
100%.
what they're doing, and then they want to blame you and say you're not doing your job.
Yeah.
So
So true.
it's time to bounce them, either throw back partial of their money, or, hey man, sorry, it's in the contract. You had obligations that you are not fulfilling, so you were in breach of contract. Have a nice day. This
And
is
it's
null
not
and void.
And it's not scary. Honestly, it's not scary. I mean, what's the cost in hiring like a new person, right? Even if they're straight up 1099, it costs you a lot. It costs you thousands in time and thousands in training, right? And so like many thousands, more than 5,000, and emotional damage because these guys are going to ask you for upfront bonuses and all this other garbage. But yeah, I mean, the guarantee is there, and that's what I really wanted to point out was like that's how guarantees are made, right? You see an appointment, you're skeptical, you come up, bro, you really gonna do this for me? Hey, let's establish trust. Let's get on the same wavelength. Of course. Do I have to trust you just as much as you trust me? And of course, the guarantee's there. Okay, cool. Let's go for it. Let's break down this one. This one is the pay per close. Don't pay for leads, pay per close only. So when I
That
see
one
that,
I
I
know
go,
is true.
yeah, yeah. Chris is very familiar with this one. So attentions, coaches, consultants, put whatever business in there you want. These guys just have a two-step process, a set and a close process. That's why it makes sense, right? Don't pay for leads. So what do leads run? Anywhere from $50 to $200 is the general consensus for leads in many, many different areas. So 50 to $200. Don't pay for the lead, right? Only pay per close. What the heck? So I don't have to give you any money till it closes? That's my first thought. And then I'm like 30 to 50 plus sales calls every month. 30's a lot. I'm only getting 21 right now. And I don't have to pay till it closes? What are you talking about, Chris? What are we talking about pay per close?
Well, when they call and they close the deal, they're going to give you a percentage.
And sorry. What and usually what is that percentage? So literally no upfront money. That's where I'm at. No upfront money when you see an ad like this.
That's what I would assume. No upfront money. You may have to pay for your ads to get those leads to come in.
There it
Um,
is.
but,
And it
you
even
know,
says with paid ads.
with paid ads, that means I'm not paying for those ads and I'm going to close, and I'm not going to pay for your ads, do all that, and guarantee.
Now these commissions are gonna be a little higher. Usually they're more than 10%. More,
Well,
like
yes,
more,
definitely.
like I don't. They're not 50, but they're much more than 10. I'll tell you that. I won't speak for every industry, but that's they're more than 10%. So just know that. But it's true, guys. Ads are true. Um, and if this is real, like when you see an ad, the ad is the truth. Okay, they're people are doing it for other companies. Like it really does happen. I mean, you're looking at an ad on Facebook, right? That's why it happens. It's making you want to click. You're really thinking, can this really happen? And then we ran through that process. So like, yeah, they obviously work, um, and uh, and it's okay to click on them and come in with a okay, but come in with the right questions. Cost that doesn't make it. You already know it's going to cost a few $1,000s. Like you already know that.
Well,
So
yeah, when
come
you
in,
click on an ad, they're going to ask you for money.
yeah, they are like that's what an ad is. So when you come in and you ask for price, don't do that's not the right way to go about it. There's a solution to your problem, and go about making sure that the solution will be solved. Now, know there's a price to that. There always is, and that's all I'm saying. So, are these ads real? Yeah, the ads are real, and the guarantees behind them are real, and the 20 to 30 appointments are real. Like they actually happen. I promise you, it's actually happening. So when you want to click on an ad, just know those two things. They're going to ask you for money at some point. They flat out will. It's going to be a few thousand, and you're going to make way more money than that. So
All
there
right,
you go.
world, I got to bounce.
Chris got to
Thanks.
bounce.
Thanks for having us on, or thanks for having me on,
Yes,
and
sir.
we'll see you soon.
Yes, sir. Love it. I'll wrap it up. I'll wrap it up, guys. Those are the two things with the real things. But you can find us anywhere at Aid Media now. Why do I know this? Because we run ads like this. Can I say all that stuff? Because we talk to businesses all day about this stuff. And if you're serious and you really are looking for a service industry, if you're in a service industry, if you're in the appointment and also setting industry, we can definitely help you with that. We see businesses make money every day with this type of stuff. Those full disclosure, those weren't our ads. Those were ads we just pulled off that we saw on the internet. We don't make ads. We make ads similar to that, but they're not 100% like those weren't our ads. But we know what they are. We know what they stand for. We know the people behind them making them, and they're all true. They're all true. So, Aid Media Now. You guys can book me on my LinkedIn, in the description, whatever, and hit us up and see what we're all about. We do it with, yeah. So those are ads, and we'll see you guys later this week, Thursday. Have a good one.